What's going on, guys? MariK here, and with the Star Wars Battlefront collection less than 2 weeks away, I thought this would be a good time to discuss map strategies. For those of you who haven't had the chance to play the original Battlefront online or haven't played since the original servers were shut down. So in these videos, we'll be taking a look at the layouts to each map and going over different strategies that you can take for each of the various factions. The Mos Eisley map is much more busy than it actually appears to be when you're looking at the map at spawn. The Empire and the clones have the market, housing, and warehouse, while the droids and the rebels have shop, hangar, and cantina. There's a lot of different streets you can go down, jumping between buildings, going up on top of some of the buildings, in some of the buildings. There's a lot that you can do. The hangar in particular is a nice command post to have, not because of the command post itself, but because you can actually get to the top, the very top of the hangar, and you can see out across pretty much the entire rest of the map. Great for snipers and great for really just unloading rockets down into unsuspecting crowds of enemies. The thing that makes this map unique, though, is the fact that it is littered with Jawas everywhere. They are a neutral faction that won't attack either your faction or your enemy faction. They'll just sit there, and as far as I know, they'll just build turrets, they'll repair droids. However, killing one will result in a negative towards your kill count. But other than that, I don't think there's really any punishment, any consequences to doing so, unless they're going to turn on you if you killed enough of them. And it's not going to affect the balance of how the game itself goes. When playing as the Empire and the clones, I usually spawn at the warehouse. It is the command post that is closest to the cantina and therefore closest to an enemy command post. I like to do this because you can easily disrupt the flow of your enemy and scoop up a good couple quick kills by just completely overwhelming them at the very beginning. Because the cantina is a closed-in space, it's very difficult for them to dodge things like grenades and other explosives, and you can kind of just trap them inside. You do have to be, careful of them spawning in it, of course, because that can be extremely dangerous if you're not paying attention and they get the drop on you. Once you've cleared it out, it's fairly easy to take this command post. It doesn't hold the most strategic value because if you look on the map, the other two command posts are pretty far away, but then that means that the four you have are all clustered up together, which I guess in itself is a good reason to take this command post. It also forces them to only have two, and the hangar is one of the places where you can kind of chokehold them, because if they spawn outside the hangar, they're going to spawn out around here. If they spawn inside the hangar, then they have to get out one of 2/3 ways. The first way is this doorway right here, and a lot of the times they'll just be standing in it, if they're AI, of course. Shit. There is also a back entrance that you can go out of that is over there, where their tank spawns, that I actually forgot spawns a tank in Battlefront 1. I don't believe it does in Battlefront 2. The easier command post to take, they captured the warehouse. I'm surprised. The easiest command post out of the two to take would be, oh fuck, would be the shops, because it is easier to get into, and it's not, one giant clusterfuck of a command post like the hangar is. But it is difficult to take it without being killed. If you can take it and you can, get yourselves in one of those little divots, then that will kind of grant you a little cubby to just store yourself away in to take this command post. When playing as the droids or the rebels, you have the option of spawning at the cantina and taking the same strategy that I use for the clones of the Empire and reversing it. The downside to doing this is the enemy will get out of their command post a lot faster than you will. And again, this command post just doesn't have a whole lot of strategic value. If you do choose to go this route and take this command post, definitely make sure you take the back alley to get to it, because if you go out the front where most of the clones are going to be going, you're going to put yourself at a major disadvantage. Also, be sure when you take this command post to watch for this upper stairway here. Oh shit, hello. Because some of them like to go up the stairs and just kind of chill, getting caught off guard like that. Oh, come on, droid. Oh, come on, Jawa. Oh, come on, clone. This is the other area that seems to see a lot of play, as it is the most open. It doesn't hold as much strategic value, in my opinion, but it is a nice place to be able to come and mop up kills. Because one of the command posts you spawn at, being housing, is over to the right up ahead. And then, of course, you've got the market that is the command post at the very end down here. There always seems to be a lot of skirmishes over here, but as this is kind of towards the back end of the map, I don't feel it's as important as taking control of the other parts of the map, but it's definitely where a lot of the action seems to happen. Another option you have is one that I mentioned earlier, which is spawning at the hangar. You can run up this ramp here, and it'll take you over to the side, the very edge of the hangar command post, and you can get all the way up to the top, and then you can see a very large portion of the map. You can't see, of course, all the way over to some of the command posts, but it does give you a good vantage point for sniping. It just, how valuable of a strategy this is really is dependent on what command posts your faction and the enemy faction control. You can see right here at the front of the cantina, so you can get great shots in of them once they've taken it. You can actually snipe and see over to the warehouse where the clones spawn, but as it's not really where a lot of stuff happens, I don't know how valuable it is to be watching this particular command post. You can only see a small portion of it. If they happen to have or take the shops, you've got a great vantage point over here to see the outside of the command post. Sniping in the command post, not really as great of a vantage point, but you can kind of just box them in. You don't have to worry about them being able to hit you from up here. It is possible, obviously, but having this high of a vantage point really works out. And as you can see, they're funneling over here, and then you can just snipe at them while the rest of your team kind of attempts to hit them from the streets. It's a fairly solid strategy. It's not one that I employ too much, just because there are parts of the map you can't see, and I feel like sometimes you're just not doing anything. If your faction happens to have control of the right command posts, it's also kind of a waste to be up here. But it is a fun strategy and does get you some kills, and a lot of times people won't see it coming the first time around. So it's also a nice little strategy you can start the game off with. They'll catch on to it quick, but if they can't seem to get you, then it doesn't do them a whole lot of good. It is nice to be able to use it on the AI that like to climb up to the top of command posts for whatever reason. As you can see, this clone is right here in a turret, the droid's right here. Neither one of them are even aware that the other one exists. I am doing this because I honestly completely forgot that the droids even had a fucking tank on this map. I don't know what it even can do. I don't know what they were thinking putting a vehicle on this map, because again, I don't even remember it being an option, but if you can actually maneuver this tank down the streets, that is a huge advantage that I feel like the droids, and I assume by extension, because they'd have the same command post, that the rebels have. This is something that I just don't remember being a thing. So now, as it seems to be working out just fucking fine, I'm kind of afraid to play on this and have to deal with a giant ass tank that really has no problem just squeezing through the streets of Mos Eisley. This is wild. This is not something that I remember dealing with. I know for a fact that there was no vehicles on Mos Eisley in Battlefront 2, but I guess I played more 2 than I have 1 over the years, despite Battlefront 1 coming out first, and yeah, this blows my mind. And that's going to be it for our strategic map overview of Tatooine, Mos Eisley. Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection comes out in just 2 weeks, so we hope to see you on the Battlefront.